To be honest, I look back at my Doughboy review and cringe a bit. While I still think the game is utter trash, quite possibly the worst Famicom game ever, that stuff I said about Kemco was a little harsh. About how great companies bit the dust, yet they're still around. That was terrible to say, because Kemco does have good games under their belt. Sure, there's a lot of games like Kablooey, and Kid Clown and Crazy Chase, and Draken. But let's not forget, they did do the NES ports of the Mac Adventure point-and-click games. And even though they made some bad games, at least they made the games themselves, and are not like LJN or Bandai who pay some poor company minimum wage just to put crap on shelves. But enough about that, we got a game from Kemco, or at least a port from them, that I do consider, fun. In 1961, satirical humor magazine Mad Magazine would begin publishing one of their breakthrough recurring segments, the comic strip Spy vs. Spy. There wasn't anything too complicated about it. Two spies were trying to hurt or kill each other in hilarious ways, created by ex-pirated Cuban artist Antonio Parias. While the comic had intentions of parodying the current at the time Cold War, the strips still hold up even after, probably being the most popular and recognizable recurring segment in the magazine, still going on to this day even after Parias' death, and even finding their way into pop culture. Because of their popularity, a video game adaptation seemed to make sense. Originally for the Apple II, Commodore 64, and Apple 8-bit computers, it was developed by First Star Software, whose most popular game series was the Boulder Dash series, which will get its own NES version that we'll have to cover sometime down the road. Spy vs. Spy seemed to also be a big success for First Star, as they made two more sequels for the title, The Island Caper and Arctic Antics, and just a few years ago, a sort of remake for iOS and Android. According to First Star's website, the game series as a whole sold over 1 million units, which probably looked impressionable to the newly founded company Kemco, whose first release was an obscure American computer game, so why not two? Kemco seemed to love this game so much that they remade the sequel, The Island Caper, for the Famicom the following year, and even made a Game Boy and Game Boy Color port, the latter being released over a decade after the Famicom original. So after the disaster that was Doughboy, it's nice to see Spy vs. Spy is actually a competently made title. And we can just consider Doughboy practice coding and Spy vs. Spy their first real deal title. As either spy, you search around this building looking for secret items hidden behind all sorts of things. After collecting them all, escape before time runs out. However, you and the other spy are constantly putting traps inside places where you can look, or can even beat each other down if you two end up in the same room. And that's the game, a simple Easter egg hunt. A simple Easter egg hunt with a lot of problems. First, let's start with time. This game barely gives you enough time to search around the whole building for parts, but sadly you'll end up losing most of that time because when you die, you'll get a chunk of time removed. Alongside that, you needed to take a time out letting the counter roll down as you wait to get back into the game. I think this issue isn't huge in the first level of difficulty where there's just 6 rooms, but going up to level 2 and beyond almost feels impossible. Then there's your map, which thankfully you have a map in this game, letting you see every room and if they have something hidden in it. But to access the map, you need to cycle through your inventory of traps just to get a view of it. Maybe if they made the map the select button, things would be a lot less annoying. But this isn't where the annoyance ends. Then we get into the problem of carrying the secret items. Cycle through your traps to plant one and your secret items are gone and spontaneously end up behind one of the things you can look behind. Which, I don't understand what strategy that gives. I want to hold on to the items, is that not hard to understand? Well, what gets even worse is when you go to check if something's hidden, your secret items get magically thrown behind where you're searching, causing you to research to reobtain the items. What the fuck? Occasionally I can search without throwing the items inside, but I don't know if I have to tap the A button slightly or stand as far away as I can to search, but I might as well just throw that out there. All these problems in turn go back to the main problem of the time issue, making it hard for either spy to complete a level. Also, I gotta mention that great combat system. Okay, so I did mention I thought the game was at least fun, right? And yeah, despite its problems, I think Spy vs. Spy can be enjoyed to a limit. The basic game is simple and easy to get into, and the goal is understandable. But I think where this game would really grab someone is multiplayer, where you and another player can go toe-to-toe on one two-player, star-studded, poke-a-spy until they die fest. At least if you don't want to play a much better multiplayer game. It has its problems, but I consider Spy vs. Spy a success for Kemco. Don't know where they'll go from here, but at the very least I want to believe it'll be at least better than Doughboy was.